I just want to say
You're listening to
your fan favorite section on Break Time on West Side. So, 3rd of January is 2020. Like, it is bloody hell. We're in another decade. We're in the 2020s. It was so interesting when guys like clocked into like 2010, and for some reason it's like people felt like, you know what, we've reached like another level, and guys have kind of hyped up this whole, you know, in 2020 we should do this, in 2020 we should do this. I don't know, it kind of feels special though, because in terms of like the whole new year new me thing, 2020 feels like it's on another level because it's like the start of another decade. But anyways, that aside, welcome to Break Time on West Side, your number one break time podcast show, coming to you from Nairobi, Kenya. The man on the mic is Denver B. The fan favorite section is here, and I figured I might as well come through and finish up something that I said I would last year. Yeah, because it is the 3rd of January. You know, obviously there's a lot that people will say, oh, you know, new year, new me. And of course, some people would expect, you know, like a totally new script, or they expect some new shit to come dropping. But I'm not lying to you. It's just the same shit, different year. Constant improvement. I'll wait for the beginning of a new year so that I can try some new shit. I will try and make changes as I go, because I feel as though there shouldn't be any special timing for something new, for a new change in your life, for a transformation and all that shit. And that's just how I am. Anyways, let me stop sounding like a motivational speaker. I have a bunch of issues. Before I get into something that I had planned, well, the things that I did have planned for today. Now, what the fuck is up with people and this whole no homo shit? Like, fine, I get where no homo came from, but I feel as though it's pointless now. Because I kind of stopped and I kind of thought about it for a bit. No homo is one of the most useless catchphrase terms that people use at any given time. And bear with me on this. Now, if I'm howling at a homie of mine, and like, let's say I was to head over to his ends and I'm taking too long, and the guy hits me up and I'm like, yo, I'm coming. And the guy is like, I pause, or I no homo. Like, you kind of have to think about that in a sense and ask yourself, why the hell do you have to add no homo there though? Why do you have to add a pause, either for you or for someone who's speaking for you, just so that you show that, you know, that like there's no homosexual quote unquote intentions? Like, when you actually think about it, it's a little too far-fetched, because it's not like every single time I will say something that sounds gayish in a way, it means that I'm alluding to being gay. I think I'm comfortable with my sexuality. And if anything, if you have something that, you know, might sound gay, I think it's only right if the person who's actually thinking that actually gets to ask you, like, yo, that sounded kind of like this or kind of like that. But it's not like every single time we're busy talking to someone and they make an allusion to something that's, you know, sounding a bit sexual in a sense, they just look at you and they're like, that's what she said, or that's what he said. It's never like that though. Well, but anyways, the kind of thought process that I had with it was like, do you do that for everything though? Because as much as some people might be with or against homosexuality, you have to look at it in a sense of, does that mean that every single thing that you're not for, you have to go and pull up like a phrase that can kind of cover you and protect you from something that you're against? Because, you know, like, take for example, like, pedophilia. Do you ever go to your friend's place and, like, let's say, you know, they have a kid or some shit, and then you're like, you know, you have a very beautiful daughter, no pedo. You never pull that shit, because you're comfortable enough to know that, you know, you're not going to do anything of that sort. You know, you're not looking at the child in that sort, not unless if you are. And of course, you know, when you look at it, you're like, you know, this is a very beautiful child. You know, you've brought up someone who's very beautiful, who will grow up to be a beauty and provided they do the right things and they follow the book, they will probably end up doing some really amazing shit. So the way I see it, no homo, pause, that shit is just toxic masculinity. That's just someone trying to cover themselves from the feeling of I might be sounding like a gay person and I don't want to look like a gay person. That's just toxic masculinity in my respect. Anyways, that being said though, so I was kind of avoiding this topic and I was trying to find a way to like kind of go around it and almost not talk about it, because it actually came from an episode that I did about 3, 4, 5 weeks back, and it was concerning how like some shorties would go and supposedly get pregnant, quote unquote, and then go and ask for like abortion money and just go and eat that shit up. And the way I saw it, I was like, I could be skewing some of the true stories that might be there, but at the same time, I had to point out that there are some fake ones that existed. And I did mention that I was gonna do like how women can like slide in a very sheepish way or in a very sly way, like a child into the whole mix, and then suddenly you just become a baby daddy. And I almost actually didn't discuss it, but I have to clear up with last year's books, just saying. And also because I kind of woke up to some interesting baby mama drama this morning before I recorded the podcast. So at some point, I pretty much just stopped and I looked at it. I was like, this is the universe just reminding me to hold up my end of the deal. And by all means, I just have to. Plus, someone also actually did kind of approach me about it a couple of weeks back. So when I spoke about it, now the specific episode, for those of you that haven't listened to it, is she's not pregnant. The not is in brackets. You can listen to it, then you'll kind of get a context for what it is I'm talking about. So on that particular episode, I had spoken about how some shorties would go, they slide in with a guy, you all smash, you drop some kids, and then she supposedly comes out and says that she's pregnant. Like, let's say she said that she wanted to do it raw, or you just like hitting that shit raw. You do not like wearing a strap on, which in no way, shape, or form relates to strap-ons. For those of you all that are thinking that. And over time, like while you're busy enjoying that shit, like let's say you're dating and, you've been doing it pretty well and y'all are safe with each other. None of y'all is cheating, or at least that's as much as the both of y'all think. And, all of a sudden she comes through, she's like, yo, I'm pregnant. I need to get rid of this kid. And, probably she miscalculated safe days. Probably, safe days weren't so safe. So, eventually she's pregnant at all, or supposedly pregnant, and then she ends up having to go for an abortion, and you have to foot the bill. She tells you how much it is, because guys, we never really go into a lot of the details. We don't involve ourselves that much. And because of that, she can, kind of finesse you off of bits of your money or a chunk of your money, depending on what you call a bit or a chunk. And I even presented a story of how some girl who had 2 boyfriends pulled that shit and got like 70 grand Kenyan. That's like $700 US. And depending on where you are, that could be a lot, that could be a little. Now, onto what it is that I was trying to get at. Now, there's shorties that actually go the extra mile, because I don't know, it's something that I've been told before. Plus, it's also kind of like primal conditioning. Well, actually, that's how females have been conditioned through nature. You always look for the best suitor that can be, father to your children and shit. And it's usually because you want to produce, healthy, strong offspring. That's like the bare bones, psychology of like the woman's nature when it comes to producing children. But the thing is, some of y'all, you can clearly see this guy don't want kids, but you pretty much make sure that the kid exists. So what am I talking about? So like, let's say you've been smashing this guy for a while. This guy probably dating you, or y'all have just been hitting it, and the guy probably isn't the committing type, or probably y'all are dating and this guy is just really sweet and you just can't get enough of the guy. You love the guy. You love being with the guy. And then at some point you decide, you know what, I'd really want to have kids with this guy. But this guy is like, you know what, I am not built for kids. Like, I do not want kids at any point in my life. So this guy straight up didn't plan for that shit. And he doesn't want kids. But you look at him, you know, the guy is attractive. The guy is amazing. He looked like he'd make a great father. And, you know, like probably he's doing pretty well financially. I'm not saying that money is the number one driver, but it is one of them. And, you know, he looked like the type that can make very cute babies if your genes and his genes mix. Now I'm saying. And that being said, you kind of like hatch a plan to like get a kid with this guy. Or probably you just want to keep the guy. You genuinely just want to trap the guy with a kid. So, you know, like some of the things that women choose to do because of such thought processes are some of the stuff that baffles me. So like from a much simpler angle, like I was on the internet like about a year or two, maybe 3 back. And at some point I stumbled onto this article of, you know, confessions from women who trapped their men or who've tried trapping their men with kids. And I looked into it and I saw a bunch of like simple 1-line, 2-line confessions. And that kind of showed me how niggas are not safe in this world. Y'all don't even know that shit. Because I pretty much would sit through like a bunch of them and it was like, for some of them it's a husband. And as much as it sounds justifiable, if I don't want kids, I want kids. So I would see, you know, I've been with my boyfriend for 4 years and I want him so much, but he doesn't seem like he wants to like settle down with me. So I'm trying to get pregnant so that, you know, he stays with me completely. I know it's a very dumb state of thought because niggas nowadays can run away, but it came from someone. And I'm guessing if she thinks like this of this guy, then there's a good chance that this guy might stay. Because, women actually put thought into this shit. And you know, a lot of them were pretty similar. But there was one where this shorty was like, I lied to my boyfriend that I've been taking my IUDs. I don't know what the fuck those are. I'm guessing those are implants. So I stopped taking my IUDs, and I've been lying to my boyfriend that I've been taking them. I think I've paraphrased it, but what the hell? Because I want to get pregnant so that I don't get to lose him. And I sat down, I was like, so there's a good chance that this guy's been hitting it raw. He's been thinking that, you know, you're on birth control and he's getting a raw deal. No pun intended. Well, actually pun intended, but fuck that. So obviously you've got to ask yourself as a guy, like, am I really safe when I hit it raw, even though she told me she's on birth control? Nowadays, I'm hearing that there's a male contraceptive, you know, like it holds shit back for like 13 years. I'm still yet to hear from someone who's actually utilized one and, you know, it started working because it just came out the other day. But even when it comes down to like stuff like condoms, niggas, you ain't safe. Men, I am going to say this straight up. You are not safe. Because like a bit of a while back, you know, I was listening to the radio with my mom, and at some point some woman called in and they were busy talking about how, you know, like they tried to get that guys pregnant and all. And or should I say some women, because I think it was like 2 of them that kind of admitted to the same thing, admitted to like trying to get pregnant from a guy that they really liked and they wanted to keep. And what they did was, like, this guy smashed with a condom. Like, this guy pulled the ultimate move. Like, that was the one for, this is the ultimate baby curve. I will get the strap, I will wear the condom, I will hit this shit, and no chance of a baby. So this guy goes and he does his shit. But, you know, if any of y'all have been through sex ed in high school, or, you know, at least university, or you've sat down and you've actually listened to a bit of sex ed from your friends, you know how, like, you know, like taking a condom, you like pinch the back and, you know, you just slide that shit out of your dick, you know, like tie that shit up and then you like throw it into the bin. And for most of us, we never bother. We either have a bin in our bedrooms or we have one in like the kitchen. So, you know, this guy went and threw it somewhere in the house, but I think it was pretty nearby. And as usual for us guys, just because of biology, after we smash, we've pretty much done our thing, and we'll just go to sleep. So shorty goes, chills for a bit, then went back to the trash, picked up the condom, the already used condom, and then turned that shit inside out on herself. And I heard that, I was like, wait, what? At that point, I was like, wait. So even though the condom, you're not safe. She was like, if you're listening to it right now, even you now know that you're not safe. So I was like, well, fortunately or unfortunately, I'm not exactly, like riding high. I'm not a billionaire or anything. So I wouldn't go through such, or I don't expect to go through such, at least for a bit of a while. But that notwithstanding, though, guys are actually exposed to quite a bit. So the way I saw it, I was like, so does that mean that I have to contaminate my shit? Or does that mean that I have to throw my condom into like a public dumpster? Because I know at that point, she won't go fishing for trash there. She got too much dignity for that shit. And even though people would come up and say, that's impossible, it doesn't mean that it'll happen with every guy. When you think about it as a guy, you have one or two options in life, and either one doesn't sound very good when you think about it in this perspective. Because as a guy, if you become a broke, miserable, failed person, let's just say you're that, you will pretty much not be attracting any women. You will be considered by society to have not made it. You'll have failed. You'll be looked down upon, and you'll be the example that parents will use to tell their kids that they can work hard. But from a negative standpoint, then if you're, are properly successful, you're doing pretty well, like let's say, with the success came with a ton of money, you'll also become a target for women who want to have, like good, high quality, very strong, very healthy, very smart offspring. And some of them are willing to do anything to get such offspring by you. So do you really have anywhere to go? And answer is no, not really. So you just have to try and like save yourself. What I would tell someone is, if you are so scared of or that situation and use a condom, I'd say go contaminate that condom once you're done with it. If you have hand wash in the house, if you have like some other liquid, you could just, before you stash that thing in like the trash, you go and you contaminate that shit, then you throw it in. Or you can just like take it to a sink, like you can let some water loose in it, and then, like just shake that shit and like turn it upside down, let everything out, then toss it. There, I'd probably say you're safe, but it doesn't mean that you're completely safe as a guy, because I don't think every guy will ever really put that much thought into, condoms and contraceptions and trying to make sure that they don't get any kids. Because the minute they get that call that I'm pregnant, obviously at that point, it's either you're trying to get the girl to abort, or you're owning up and you're like, fine, I will try and make sure that I'm a pretty good father to this child. So, that being said, as much as all of this sounds spiteful, I will say this, because I have been told this by a woman. Women choose who they want to be their child's father. And I was being told this by a woman, and it does make quite a bit of sense. So, guys, as much as you guys want to be great people, as much as you guys want to make a lot of good change in 2020, I will tell you from the get-go, you all have to secure yourselves. You all have to make sure that, you're not trying to become baby daddies or some shit by mistake. So you all stay safe. You all have a happy new year, even though first has passed. I wish nothing but the best for you guys this year. Y'all make sure you stay safe. If y'all have any feedback, comments, hate, criticisms, on IG, it is at breaktime_westside. Actually, on IG, it is breaktime on westside. On Facebook, it is breaktime on westside. On Twitter, you can hit me up on my personal Twitter handle at Bagaka the D is capital. I will see you guys later.